London, winter, 1998. The bustling city was still glowing with lights, but behind the peaceful facade, a brutal crime was being prepared. And it all started with a mysterious phone call. On December 3, 1998, the London police received a report. A young woman is about to be murdered. A flight to India. Stop it before it's too late. But no one acted. And it was that delay that led to a tragedy that shook two countries, Britain and India. The victim is Surjit Kaur Athwal, a 27-year-old Punjabi woman born and raised in London. Behind her gentle smile lies a deadlocked marriage, a repressive family, and harsh codes of honor. When Surjit yearns for freedom, her decision to divorce turns into a death sentence orchestrated by her husband's family. This is not just a story about murder. It is a tragedy about tradition and honor, about love and betrayal, and the deadly silence of those who know but dare not speak up. Join me as we follow the remaining clues to uncover the horrifying truth behind this shocking case. Surjit Kaur Athwal was born in London in 1971 to a family of Punjabi descent. Since childhood, she was raised in a strict, traditional environment, despite living in a modern city. Surjit is a gentle, kind girl, always dreaming of a free life, studying and building a career. But that dream never came true. At the age of 16, while still in school, Surjit was forced into an arranged marriage with Sukhdev Singh Athwal, a Punjabi man much older than her. The decision was not based on love, but on the notion that family background should be compatible. After getting married, Surjit moved in with her husband's family in Hayes, West London. The small house had 4 people, but absolute power was in the hands of Bachchan Kaur Athwal, Surjit's mother-in-law. Bachchan Kaur was a famous woman in the Sikh community in London, known for being strict, conservative, and extremely concerned about family honor. In Bachchan Kaur's eyes, an ideal daughter-in-law must be absolutely obedient, not allowed to disobey her husband, not allowed to go out to work, not allowed to freely decide her own life. Surjit, a young girl born in England, raised with many influences of Western society, gradually became a thorn in her mother-in-law's side. From the very beginning, Surjit was forced to do all the housework, criticized, beaten, and received no protection from her husband. She repeatedly asked her biological parents for help, but the answer was, "This is normal. Try to endure. When you have a child, everything will be better." That hope was shattered when Surjit gave birth to her first son in 1991. Instead of loving her, her husband's family became more strict, suspicious, and controlling. The conflicts accumulated over the years, and when Surjit decided to go out to work at Heathrow Airport, that was the turning point, the beginning of the tragedy in 1998. In the early years after marriage, Surjit still tried to fulfill her duties as a traditional daughter-in-law. But the more patient she was, the more her in-laws controlled her. Her husband, Sukhdev Singh Athwal, was completely on her mother's side. Not only did he ignore Surjit's mother-in-law's scolding, but he also participated in monitoring her phone, mail, and relationships. She was not allowed to go out alone, and all expenses had to be reported. In the eyes of the Athwal family, Surjit was like a prisoner in her own home. In 1995, Surjit landed a job at Heathrow Airport hoping to support her family financially. But in reality, she longed for something else: freedom. This was a turning point. Through her work, Surjit met many colleagues, learned to be independent, and gradually understood that an independent life was possible. It was at this point that she began to consider divorcing Sukhdev, which in the conservative Sikh community was considered the greatest disgrace. When Surjit expressed his intention to divorce, the Athwal family was immediately enraged. Especially Bachchan Kaur, her mother-in-law, who saw this act as a betrayal and a disgrace to the family honor. From then on, Surjit was constantly threatened. "If you abandon my son, you will regret it. The honor of this family is more important than your life." Meanwhile, Sukhdev not only did not protect his wife, but also repeatedly got involved in arguments, pushing the tension to the extreme. Suffering years of emotional abuse, Surjit went to the police and women's support centers at least twice. But when asked, she did not dare to name the perpetrators, fearing retaliation. A close friend even recalled, "Surjit told me she felt threatened, but we never expected them to actually do it. All these signs, the threats, the control, the fear, foreshadowed an impending tragedy." And then in late 1998, Bachchan Kaur came up with a cruel plan to take Surjit to Punjab, India, under the pretext of attending a family wedding. But in reality, it was a trip from which there would be no return. In December 1998, Bachchan Kaur, Surjit's mother-in-law, suggested that the whole family go to Punjab, India, to attend a relative's wedding. Surjit was hesitant, but Bachchan Kaur used many reasons to convince him. "The family is waiting for you. You have to go to maintain peace." Little did she know that, before the trip, Bachchan Kaur and Sukhdev Singh had secretly discussed with Jaswinder Jasi Singh, Sukhdev's cousin who lived in Punjab. They agreed that once Surjit set foot in India, she would never return to London. On December 3, 1998, Surjit, his mother-in-law and some relatives boarded a flight from Heathrow to New Delhi. In a friend's diary, Surjit hastily wrote, "I don't want to go, but they won't let me say no. I'm scared." Those were the last words left by Surjit. On December 11, 1998, Surjit was invited to a relative's house to participate in a wedding ceremony. But when she entered, she found that there was no wedding. The room was dark, with only a few strange men standing there. What happened next was later revealed in a witness's testimony. Surjit was dragged into the room. Her phone and papers were confiscated. She cried and begged for her life, but all in vain. The commander was Jaswinder Jasi Singh, Surjit's husband's cousin, who was tasked with preserving the family's honor. According to the witness, Surjit was strangled to death with a dupatta, a traditional Punjabi scarf. It all happened in absolute silence. After Surjit died, her body was stuffed into a sack and taken to the banks of the Ravi River. They threw her body into the water, believing that the current would wash away all traces. Bachchan Kaur and Sukhdev immediately returned to England, pretending not to know what had happened. When Surjit's family in London asked, they coldly replied, "Surjit must have gone somewhere. He will come back." No one knew that, on the other side of the river, her body had been drowned by the rushing water. What they did not expect was that a family member, Surjit's sister-in-law, Surjit Kaur Athwal, had secretly known about the entire plan all along. Surjit had heard Bachchan Kaur and Sukhdev discussing executing Surjit to save his honor. It was Surjit's testimony that years later became the key to the case. On December 12, 1998, just a day after Surjit was murdered, her family in London received a call from Punjab. On the other end of the line was Bachchan Kaur, Surjit's mother-in-law. "Surjit is nowhere to be found. He went out yesterday and hasn't returned since." The words sounded worried, but Bachchan Kaur's voice was chillingly calm. Surjit's family began to sense that something terrible had happened. Surjit's brother, Jaswant Kaur, kept calling Punjab, but no one was forthcoming with information. Everyone in the village knew Surjit was dead, but no one dared to say anything, said a relative who lives near the scene in India. Everyone was afraid of her husband's family. All the signs pointed to Surjit being murdered, but there was no evidence. While Surjit's biological family searched desperately, her husband Sukhdev Singh remained calm. He told the police, "Maybe my wife ran away somewhere, I don't know anything." Bachchan Kaur pretended to be sad, but did not actively search for her daughter-in-law. No one in her husband's family even reported Surjit's disappearance to the Indian police. This silence made the London police suspicious. Just days later, a secret call was made to the London police. The caller, a woman from the Punjabi community, said in a trembling voice, "Surjit will never come back. They killed her. Ask Bachchan Kaur." This call became the first clue that led the British police to lean towards an honor killing. In early 1999, the British police launched an official investigation, but there was a major obstacle. The crime took place in India. Surjit's body was never found. No one in the husband's family was willing to cooperate. Therefore, the London police could only rely on statements and indirect clues to track down the truth. When things seemed to be at a standstill, Surjit Kaur Athwal, Surjit's sister-in-law, secretly approached the police. She said that before leaving for India, Bachchan Kaur and Sukhdev had discussed in detail the plan to kill Surjit. They called it a matter of preserving the family's honor, Surjit recalled. If Surjit divorced, the whole family would be humiliated. This was the turning point that opened the door to further investigation. After receiving a missing persons report, Punjab police launched a search around the area where Surjit was reported missing. They searched the banks of the Ravi River, the suspected dump site. But no body found, no DNA samples, no direct witnesses. The lack of physical evidence has left the case at a standstill. While the Punjab police were slow, the British police, particularly Scotland Yard's homicide squad, stepped in. They created a secret dossier called Operation Ravine with the objective to trace the trail from London to Punjab to find the truth about Surjit's death. They focused their investigation on 3 points. 1. The travel history of Surjit and his family. 2. The anonymous call reporting Surjit's murder. 3. The contradictions in the statements of Sukhdev and Bachchan Kaur. Surjit's husband Sukhdev Singh maintained a cold, indifferent attitude. He said, "I don't know anything. Surjit has mental problems he could have left on his own." But immigration records show that Sukhdev and Bachchan Kaur left Punjab shortly after Surjit disappeared, which made the police even more suspicious. Meanwhile, Bachchan Kaur's mother-in-law contradicted her own son. When asked about a relative wedding, she could not remember the names of the bride and groom. She did not know the address of the house where the party took place, and she could not explain why Surjit did not return to the hotel. All of these points reinforced the suspicion of a premeditated murder. The explosive point of the investigation came from Surjit Kaur Athwal, Surjit's sister-in-law. Initially, Surjit was scared, but after months of internal struggle, she decided to cooperate with the London police. In a statement of more than 30 pages, Surjit revealed, "Before the trip to India, Bachchan Kaur and Sukhdev had a family meeting. They said bluntly, 'Surjit has disgraced the family. She must disappear.' Jaswinder Jassi Singh, a cousin in Punjab, was assigned to take care of everything." Surjit also recounted the gruesome details. "I heard my mother-in-law say, 'They will strangle Surjit with a dupatta, then throw the body in the river.'" This testimony became the golden evidence, forcing the British police to expand the investigation internationally. Based on Surjit's testimony, the London police sent a request for cooperation to the Indian police. They traced phone calls between London and Punjab in December 1998. The results showed there were many secret calls between Sukhdev, Bachchan Kaur, and Jaswinder Singh before Surjit went missing. On the night of December 11th, Jassi's phone was located near the Ravi River. Several local witnesses confirmed seeing a group of men carrying sacks to the riverbank at night. Although no body was found, the British police confirmed that Surjit had been murdered. Cornered, Sukhdev Singh still denied everything. "No, I love my wife. I have nothing to do with it." Bachchan Kaur, on the other hand, remained defiant. "We are not lying. Without evidence, you can't do anything." But with Surjit's detailed testimony, coupled with phone data, flight records, and conflicting statements, the police had enough grounds to file charges. In June 2005, after nearly 7 years of investigation, British police officially arrested Sukhdev Singh Athwal, Surjit's husband, Bachchan Kaur Athwal, mother-in-law. The mother and son were charged with conspiracy to commit murder with intent. This was the first time in British history that an honor killing committed abroad was prosecuted in London. In May 2007, nearly 9 years after Surjit Kaur Athwal was murdered, the trial of Sukhdev Singh, husband, and Bachchan Kaur, mother-in-law, officially opened at the Old Bailey Criminal Court, where the most serious cases in the UK are handled. This was the first time in British legal history that a murder case that occurred abroad was prosecuted on British soil. The press called it the honor murder case that shocked London. The focus of the trial was Surjit Kaur Athwal, Surjit's sister-in-law, who had dared to stand up to her husband's family. In court, Surjit recounted the entire murder plan she had heard at a family meeting. Bachchan Kaur made it clear, "Surjit has brought shame to the family. If we divorce, we will lose all our honor. She must disappear." Surjit described the moment Bachchan Kaur discussed in detail how to kill Surjit, strangling her with a dupatta, traditional shawl, handing over to Jaswinder Singh and some of the men in the family to take care of the rest, then dumping the body in the Ravi River to hide the evidence. This testimony left the court speechless. Many in London's Punjabi community were shocked by the level of brutality. Sukhdev and Bachchan Kaur's lawyers argued that no body, no eyewitnesses at the scene, no weapon. But the prosecutor presented strong circumstantial evidence. Call records between Sukhdev, Bachchan Kaur, and Jaswinder. Flight records matching the time of Surjit's disappearance. Conflicting statements between family members. Surjit's detailed testimony consistent with the Punjab investigation. It was this evidence that completely undermined the defendant's denial strategy. On the 11th of September 2007, after a 4-month trial and 5 days of deliberation, the Old Bailey sentenced Bachchan Kaur Athwal, life imprisonment, minimum 20 years, Sukhdev Singh Athwal, life imprisonment, minimum 27 years. Judge Christopher Moss said, "This was a brutal, well-planned crime. You killed Surjit to preserve what you called honor, but in doing so, you destroyed your own honor." The trial ended, but the repercussions lasted for years. The Punjabi community in the UK was divided. Some supported the verdict, others said the family had been stigmatized. Human rights groups hailed it as a turning point, as it was the first time honor killings were severely punished. The UK government strengthened laws to protect migrant women and victims of domestic abuse. In 2008, the London police set up a specialist honor crime unit to prevent similar tragedies. No one can forget the key witness Surjit. She accepted the loss of her family, being ostracized, even receiving death threats, but still stood up to defend the truth. Surjit later wrote a memoir, Shamed, telling the whole story. The book became an important source of information for many women who dared to break free from the shackles of bad customs. Nearly a decade after Surjit Kaur Athwal's death, justice has finally been served. But behind the verdict is a family torn apart. Surjit lies forever on the banks of the Ravi, without a grave. Her 2 young children grow up without a mother, without a father. The entire Punjabi community in London is shocked, losing faith in the values they once thought of as honor. Surjit died, but his death was not in vain. The Surjit Kaur Athwal case exposes the dark side of old customs. When honor is placed above a person's right to life, when women are imprisoned by tradition, family rules, and harsh control, when love and freedom are stifled in the name of maintaining reputation. This is not just a story about a murder, it is a warning to thousands of immigrant women who are living between 2 cultures where conflicting values can kill them. The case marked a turning point in the British legal system. For the first time, an honor killing committed abroad was tried and convicted on British soil. It paved the way for extensive investigations into domestic abuse in immigrant communities. The British police set up a specialist honor crime unit to protect victims before it was too late. More importantly, it awakened society to the need to protect freedom of choice, especially for women. Surjit is gone, but her voice still resonates. Freedom, love, and the right to life. No one can take them away. We cannot change the past, but we can change the present by speaking up, fighting prejudice, and defending the vulnerable from violence in the name of honor. If you know someone who is being abused, controlled, or threatened, speak up today. One call could save a life. Don't let another Surjit disappear into silence.